Today I want to talk to you about how connecting as a whole with the German language, the very first language I learned myself, made all the difference. At the ripe age of 15, I had been learning English, French, and Latin at school. And I told myself it was about time to learn another language, German, which my family constantly talked about. And that's what I did. I just got a dusty grammar book that I found at my grandmother's place, and I started to leaf through it and then going through the exercises. Yes, exactly, exercises. That book was full of grammar, that was focused on grammar, and that reminded me of how I learned Latin. And that was a mistake that I was not aware of because I was approaching German intellectually. Just intellectually, with my mind. What you have to do is not only to connect with the language intellectually, which is great, but also with your mind, with your body. You have to connect it emotionally. That makes all the difference because in the long run, you will need other things, not just your mind, to keep walking down the language path. So after a few weeks of painfully leafing through the book and trying to move forward, I told myself, this is never going to happen. I'm not going to learn German. But then a lucky turn of events happened, and I actually ended up buying another course, which was more modern, more colorful, more engaging, and overall it was really cool. I started to use this book, and it made all the difference. Within a few weeks, I actually realized that there were other ways of approaching language learning material, and I found out about my bidirectional translation course. So I started using translation to understand and figure out the basic patterns of a language. That gave me an enormous boost. I started connecting not only with the pages, but also with the language and with myself. And the combination of these three things really made a huge difference in the short as well as in the long run. So after finding this cool course and after finding a method that worked wonder for me, I started making time for the language. When I woke up, the very first thing that came to my mind was not cookies or breakfast, it was German. And automatically I started to plan and make the time to learn it every single day, even if I went to school, even if I was very busy. That made a huge difference, and what I did is that every time that I completed a task, I spent 1 hour with German, I always made sure that I had a logbook with me where I put all the entries every single day. Looking back every month or every 2 months, I actually saw how much ground I had covered, and that gave me extra motivation to move forward. Moving from a merely intellectual to an intellectual and emotional connection with the language was huge progress. But one thing was still missing, and that was the human factor. So it turned out that 2 years into learning German, I met a native German speaker when I was in a summer camp in Sardinia. And the cool thing about this is that years after meeting for the first time, I established a very profound relationship, a bond with her, and we started exchanging letters, and we did this for years, and the connection I developed with her, with the letters themselves, it really made a huge difference in me wanting to pursue German for life, not just for 2 or 3 years. I was not aware of that at the time, but that encounter, those exchanges, those words, those letters were all an emotional reward per se. And those rewards really make a difference in you walking down the language path and getting to your destination. But there are many other rewards, not just emotional rewards, there are intellectual rewards. For example, the first time that you understand the scene of a movie after learning the language for a little bit, the first time that you go to the shop around the corner and you get to strike a conversation, and a meaningful one at that, with a person. And then you have what I call existential rewards, and in short, experiences. For example, you travel abroad, you start tasting, seeing, smelling, but not just you going to the country, but also having native speakers coming to you. You can host native speakers, you can have dinner with them, you can go around the city. These are all forms of rewards that keep you going and they will keep you motivated down the language path. The bottom line of it all is that you have to see language learning like a holistic, organic, live experience. It is an intellectual challenge, but it's also an emotional journey. And ultimately, it's a set of life-changing experiences. So I got two questions for you. The first one is, have you ever tried to learn a language but given up after a few weeks? Can you tell me why that happened? And the second thing is, what do you think are the most important rules of thumb for you to stay on track and to stay motivated? I'm very eager to know your opinion in the comment section below. So try to write as much as you can. If you want to know more about how to stay on track, please click on the description box below the video and you will read a ton of other additional information.